Hi, today we're going to talk about storage. Storage is a very important function in logistics systems because sometimes you need products or goods to actually stay in one place, waiting for the next link or the next leg or the next customer. So a storage function is vital to any logistics system. And we have storages on several different levels and on several different phases in a product's life cycle, from raw material to end use. So storage is a very important function. And when you design a storage, we're going to talk about the layout of a typical storage. Well, you need to take some considerations into account. We're also going to talk about storage systems and different ways of handling the products or the goods inside the storage. But to start with layout, we have a few different types of layout in the storage. One is called the linear layout. And this is, if we look at this schematical here as a building, we can see that products or goods are entering from the bottom here into some sort of reception area where goods are identified and then placed into one of these two stock areas. And they can be different depending on what type of product it is, for instance. But what happens here in this model is that this stock area actually transfers goods into the other stock area, and the goods are then passed on to the sorting and assembly area and then through to the customer in some way. Because when a customer orders something from a store or a storage, they may need several different products and they need to be picked up and sorted and resorted and maybe put into some sort of unit load. So this is the linear layout. It goes from one end of the building to another end of the building. Another type of layout is what we call the U-shaped layout. Here we have a building where we have gates on just one side. And this is a very common approach when you have a storage facility with only one front against the loading bay or the street outside. And here you have the goods reception in one end, and then you have some sort of different stock areas, and the outbound loading is actually next to the reception, but it's a totally different type of function in the building. And the products are delivered on the same front of the building as the reception. And both of these two layouts are, of course, vastly different. And depending on what type of product you have, what type of handling requirements you have, how much time you have, they can be either beneficial or not beneficial, depending on a lot of these factors. You can also have a layout where you have an open space divided into different zones. And here you have no clear flows in this because the goods reception and outbound loading is made through the same gate or in the same side of the building. But then you have different stocking zones depending on some properties of the product. It could be size, or it could be value, or it could be picking frequency or something like that. And you have the sorting zone as a separate area of the same floor plan, actually. So these are just three basic ways of laying out a storage. And before we move on to talk about handling equipment and so on, I have a question for you. Look at your local supermarket. How is that store organized, and why does it look like it does?